third trademark you'll notice is that every layer, you'll notice this more as we walk down the wall, is that every layer is recessed in about 2 to 3 centimeters from the one below it. Now, if a typical stone is about this size right here, I want to show you an atypical stone. So I need one person to help me out. Who's going to help me out here? You're going to help me out. Okay, your name, sir?
Steve.
Steve. Can you walk down that way? When I tell you to stop, put your hand on the wall, please. Okay, stop. Perfect. Just go just a little bit more that way, right there. All right. If you guys see where Steve is standing, and you can see this white tarp down on this end, that's opposite sides of one stone. This stone right here. All right, you can come on back, Steve. Thank you very much. This stone is 44 feet long, 10 feet high, 15 feet deep, and it weighs approximately 570 tons. That's the equivalent, just to put it in perspective, of about 100 African elephants, or if you ask the Israelis around here, they'll tell you 9 Merkava tanks. Now, why am I pointing this stone out to you? It's not just because it's really neat to see one of the largest stones used for construction in the entire world. It's because I want you to think about the effort that it took to move this thing into place. And think of the effort it took to carve the outside of every single stone in this quarter-mile long wall with a nice border. And think of the effort it took to move them together without any kind of mortar fitting exactly right. And now think about the fact that this is just the outer wall. If you came here 2,000 years ago and you stopped someone in the street and you said, "Excuse me, how do I get to the western wall?" They would have said, "The western wall of what?" This place was not the focus. The focus was the temple. It's what was inside that really mattered. So now we get a little bit clearer picture of what we said above. That if you've never seen the temple, you've never seen a beautiful building in your life. Now, one other thing I want to point out here. As much as this stone tells us the story of the construction of this place, it also tells us the story of the destruction of it. What do I mean? Look at the top of this stone. You guys see a border up there? No. It's cracked. This is a crack going down this way. It's broken. Now, I can date that crack to the day. It happened on the 9th of the month of Av, the year 70 AD. And what happened on that date? The temple was destroyed. Now, the historian Josephus tells us that when the Roman soldiers were here, they stood on top of this wall. And to tear it down, they threw down the stones, tearing it down brick by brick. Well, you can imagine, they would have gotten to this wall right here, or this stone, I should say, and they thought, "We can't move this thing." So they start hacking away at it, try to tear it down that way, until for some reason they go off to do something else, leaving this for us today. That means, by the way, the stones you see on top of this one are not 2,000 years old. They're from a later time period. They're actually the ones you see here from the early Muslim period, which was between 638 and 1099 AD. And if you go outside and you look at the wall, you'll see other different types of stones on top of these that are smaller and with mortar, and those are from the Ottoman period, which started in 1517 and ended in 1917. Any questions before we continue on?
How do you know how deep that stone is? You said it's 15 feet deep. How do you know that?
Well, there are other places where you can see inside the wall there, and other than that, I'm not sure exactly where they did their measurements. But there are places where things are broken. There's also all places where you have gates as well, so you can see how deep that is. So, any other questions?
It's inset a few centimeters each level. On the back side where you can see that, is it all straight up and down?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a good question. I don't know.
Stones
Steve, the stones get faced after they're in place. They bring them into place, and after they're in place, they face them.
Right.
Right? And so they probably chipped away those 2 centimeters after it's in place.
Okay.
And so the back would
Would be what it is.
yeah.
That would be most
It
logical.
kind of makes more sense to have the biggest stone on the bottom, a little bit smaller setback, a little bit smaller for stability. That'd be more stable.
So the theory that I heard about why you have these big stones, this whole row big here, actually 2 different theories. One is that the whole row is big actually for the opposite reason, that it stabilizes the smaller ones underneath. That's one thing I heard. If you have a big beam at the bottom and smaller at the top, this top is going to be less stable because they're smaller.
Right.
The other theory that I heard, by the way, why this one stone is big is here, is because underneath the Temple Mount, holding everything up, you're going to have arches. They're not going to just fill everything in because it put too much pressure on the outside walls. So this could be the outer edge of one of those arches that actually could support that entire weight. I don't know if those are true or not. Those are some of the theories I heard. I don't have anything better for that.
Were there any other stones this size?
I'm sorry? There's no more stones that are this size.
Okay.
There are some other stones as we walk along the wall, you'll see in this row that are gigantic as well, but none of them are as big as this one.
The stone that the builders rejected, have you heard that term?
Yes, that the stone they rejected will become the cornerstone of the next temple. Right.
Okay.
It's in the Psalms, I believe, talks about that.
So that's not.
Well, first of all, you're not at the cornerstone.
Yeah.
This wall goes another like 12, 15, 14 meters down further from where we are right now. So that's one of the things.
And it also goes up. You're standing at more or less the middle level of the
Yeah.
of the western wall. It goes down like 30, not 30 feet. Yeah, 30 feet, and it's going to go up 30 feet.
Okay.
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 Any other questions?
I'm surprised they haven't asked why the holes in the stone. Why the holes in the stone?
Why the holes are in the stone?
Why are the holes in the
Okay,
stone?
so that's another layer of history that we're talking about. This is from the Byzantine times. Byzantines are essentially names we gave to the Romans after they converted to Christianity around 325 AD. They wanted to build a huge water collection pool here because we're in a valley. It's a great place to collect water. But they couldn't attach their waterproofing plaster to this wall because it was too smooth. So what did they do? They bored these holes. They stuck these bricks you see right here inside the holes, and they attached this wall right here to these bricks. And in fact, on the outside of the wall, you can still see some remnants of the plaster down at the bottom. All right, you guys follow me? We will continue.